In 1979, when Carmen Aguirre was just 11, she sat in the McDonald's in the Los Angeles airport while her mom explained that the family was headed to Peru to begin a new life in the Chilean resistance against the dictator Augusto Pinochet. And for the next 10 years, Carmen led a dangerous and secret double life, balancing the typical interests of a teenage girl, boys, clothes, and pop music, with the uncertain life of a revolutionary, harrowing border runs, codes of silence, and military interrogation. Now, to go back a bit, Carmen's family had originally left Chile following the violent coup in 1973. They fled to Vancouver, but they weren't immigrants. They were living in exile. And according to Carmen, there's a big difference. But after more than a decade of living on the run in South America, Carmen chose to settle in Vancouver, where she's become a successful playwright, an actress, her one-woman show Blue Box currently playing in Van City, and Carmen is now an author. Her first book is called Something Fierce, Memoirs of a Revolutionary Daughter. It chronicles her story as a resistance fighter and was crowned the Canada Reads Champion of 2012. Though not everyone was a fan, Canada Reads panelist Anne-France Goldwater had some choice words.
Carmen Aguirre is a bloody terrorist. How we let her into Canada, I don't understand.
But Carmen says her story is really about a complex mother and daughter relationship set against the backdrop of a revolution. Please welcome Carmen Aguirre. Great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you.
So, I mean, congratulations on this Canada Reads run. That's got to be kind of fun, right?
Yes, it's been thrilling, to say the least.
It sure has.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about when you wrote this book, how you remembered all that stuff. I mean, there's some stuff that goes, but you're 11 years old we're talking about, right? Like, just talk about, was it just all really etched into your memory?
Yes, it was etched into my memory because those are defining moments in my life, right? So, of course, I'm not sitting there writing about, oh, I got up in the morning, I had this for breakfast. I'm writing about, for example, being at LAX in 1979 when I was 11 years old. That was a defining conversation that my mother and I had at LAX. So, of course, I remember it very well.
When did you realize that your upbringing was not traditional?
Because I was raised in exile. So that is to say, I'm part of the Chilean exile community in Canada. And many of the people that I refer to as uncles and aunts were coming directly from concentration camps in Chile at the time. And when I would go to school, of course, not a lot of people at the school would have that experience. So I was already kind of leading a double life, and I knew it wasn't a traditional upbringing just in that way.
Well, and for a lot of people's reality, the immigration experience is a chance to build something. But when you live in exile, you have a very different relationship with the country you're in. Did you feel trapped here?
Well, I never felt trapped because I was a child and I was having a great time both at home and at school. So I was really able to balance both my lives. But definitely the adults around me felt trapped because as much as they love Canada, that's never been put into question, we love Canada, they did not choose to come here. They came here because Canada took them in, and they did not emigrate. They were kicked out of Chile. So for them, the dream was always to return.
When you told the story, how did you think your family was going to react to this?
It was very, very hard. It was very hard. There was a lot of negotiation that went down. And ultimately, they've all been unbelievably supportive.
The relationship with your mother, and this is interesting, I mean, I would, and I pass no judgment, it's just observation, but it seems like it's borderline reckless motherhood, which your mother put you through. How do you characterize your relationship with your mother?
Well, I thought it was a great relationship. So I can see how people would see it that way. I am very grateful for the childhood that I had. I never doubted that my mother loved me and my sister more than anything, and that is why she took us with her. So I do have I have met many people in my life who don't feel that from their parents, who actually wonder if their parents ever really loved them. And that was never a question for me.
Yeah, but you do get the sense, when I read it, that the revolution was first for your mother, and that maybe family was not first.
Yes, my mother is a radical feminist, or was a radical feminist, in the 60s and 70s. And at that time, my interpretation of radical feminism was that it was kind of anti-mother and anti-child. So my poor mother, who we have to remember was in her 20s, very young woman, right? Was juggling all of that, and at the same time trying to raise children who were conscious of the world that they lived in, and who were not just little consumers, as it were.
The idea of fear versus bravery in your life, and that I suppose both had to play a major role. Were you scared as a kid when you look back at some of the experiences you've had?
Terrified. Terrified. So my definition of bravery is not a person who doesn't feel fear. It's a person who feels fear and does what they think they have to do regardless of the fear.
Well, if terror plays a big role, how did you feel about being called a terrorist?
Oh, well, I mean, many of the people I admire in history, whether it be Latin American or world history, have been called terrorists. And
You're talking about Mandela's and...
yeah, so if I'm in the same league as Mandela, that is a very big compliment.
But you know that's not what she meant. That's not what they meant when they called you that.
Well, her and I come from opposite political spectrums, right? So she has one political belief and I have another political belief, and that's all. Yeah.
But did it anger you?
No, I mean, she was talking about the book. She was talking about the person that is being portrayed in the book. She wasn't talking about me, you know, the mother of the 5-year-old son, the actor, the friend, the sister, the daughter. So, no.
How do you define terrorism?
It's a group of people who target civilians. To me, that is terrorism. If you are targeting civilians, you are a terrorist. So if you are a black person in apartheid South Africa fighting for your rights, and you believe that sometimes you need to defend yourself in a violent manner because the oppressor is the one that always defines the nature of the struggle, not you, I don't believe that is terrorism.
When you went, so you were a kid and you were part of this, you had one relationship with the experience. When you went back as you were older and you took the oath, the revolutionary oath, did you have a different experience with the revolution when you went back like that next time?
Yes, because I was 18. I was no longer 11 or 12 or 13. It was very, very serious. I was basically terrified 24 hours a day for years, and I learned to live with that. And it was something that I was willing to do. I mean, mainly because I knew that if someday a grandchild of mine would ask me, hey, you know, I just read about this Pinochet guy. What did you do during those times? That I could look my grandchild in the eye and say, this is what I did. Right or wrong, doesn't matter. This is what I did. I didn't run away screaming into the night.
Well, thanks so much for coming. The book is called Something Fierce, Memoirs of a Revolutionary Daughter. Carmen, it's great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Carmen Aguirre, everybody. We'll be right back.